is my pocket prayer book. It has the 3 daily prayers in it. Prayers and devotions for confession and Holy Communion. Referring to the first antiphon. It has the 7 deadly sins, 7 deadly virtues, the Nicene Creed, and I have the one Western icon that we accept in the Eastern Orthodox Church, as well as Our Lady of Holy Protection. Oh, and the great defender of icons, St. John of Damascus. Now, with New Atheism, liberal atheism, as we've seen, and people like Cult of Dusty and Steve Shives, your gender-neutral parenting, where boys and girls are brought up to be different genders, or gender-neutral, or gender binary, all this SJW shit with racism now not meaning hatred towards another race. It just means you have more European ancestry in you than somebody else. And then there's intersectional oppression and feminism. And you have all this encroachment of Marxism. And meanwhile, the most persecuted people on the face of the earth are the Christians. But you don't dare say that, because a foul-mouthed atheist progressive will get in your face. No Christian, certainly no Eastern Orthodox, Oriental Orthodox, or Traditionalist Catholic, believes that gender is a social construct. That you could be gray gender, or an attack helicopter. I've made videos in the past saying that we should not hate the transgender people. We need to deal with them in love. And you know, I'm a huge fan of Blair White and of Theron Meyer. But the destruction, the wholesale destruction of our culture and our way of life, and people want to say, oh, it's a white power thing. Fuck off, because no, it's not. I actually went to a meeting of the Young Americans for Liberty, and I was the only Christian there. There was a bunch of younger guys, and you know, they said, well, they got on a topic or whatever, and somebody's like, well, yeah, we're Christian, but we don't really, you don't really believe Jesus rose from the dead. And I go, fuck you, yeah, I do. Absolutely, 100%. And that shocked them, because the extreme far right is not, I don't even like calling it the far right, the Nazi alt-right shit, when the Nazis and the alt-right and the KKK despise Christianity, right? The Mexicans that I know all have, all wear this, all, they love the saints. They know their culture, and they don't buy into any of this shit that's churned out by white liberals that are trying to start a race war between the whites and the blacks, as if they don't know that they're white. This bullshit about women, these women who want to exterminate all men, and this is tolerated. Not 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 believing in a God is one thing, fine, but there's much more to atheism than not believing in God, and that's seen by the hatred, of Christianity, the vilification of Christianity, and the absolute defense of Islam, even though Muslims are carrying out terrorist attacks, quoting from the Quran on a weekly basis, and the news says we'll never know why they did this. Yet they never report on the tens of thousands of Christians that get murdered every year for being Christians. The Copts in Egypt, my own people in Syria, the first place that these people were called Christians were being ethnically cleansed. We've been ethnically cleansed from Iraq. We were there before Islam. Being persecuted in China, being persecuted in Israel, being persecuted by the European governments, still persecuted in parts of Latin America. But yeah, it's a sick self-hatred, and a hatred of all that is right and good. This is what modern, intellectual, college-educated atheism looks like, because it needs its own religion, and its own religion is self-hating, social justice warrior. Instead of the brotherhood of man, instead of, in the eyes of Christ, there not being Jew nor Gentile, Greek nor barbarian, man nor woman, free nor slave, now it's identitarian politics. It is, they talk about cultural appropriation. It's all this victim complex and microaggressions and hate speech and all this shit, and they're going to come for Christians next. Just like they always do. And people say, oh, I mean, people don't even know their damn history, of how, I mean, oh, well, the Christians persecuted. When? No, they didn't. You give up, you have an orange, right? And there's that rind around the orange. And that's the crappy part that you have to peel off, right? To get to the sweet, juicy stuff. And that sweet, juicy stuff, that's like the morals and the virtues and the honorable stuff. That rind is the religious practices and rituals. You take away the rind, and the juicy part of the orange rots. And that's a fact. I don't know the psychology of it or whatever. And people need a religion, because man is a religious ape, and Islam is coming in. And the social justice warrior, non-binary, genderqueer lesbians, who think they can play nice with Islam and are demanding Sharia law, I mean, does it get, how more insane can it get? And you actually have people defending communism, the destruction of the family, as if being married, never getting divorced, and having a large family is, they even say it's an act of terrorism because you're leaving a bigger carbon footprint. This weird radical left is an enemy to humankind. They hate humans. And the alt-right is anti-Christian. And Islam is certainly anti-Christian. And Israel is no friend to Christianity. People need to wake up. And it's sickening. I mean, where do your rights come from? The Bill of Rights, where do your rights come from as an American? Does it come from that piece of paper? No. They're God-given, which means they can't be taken away. And you also, the Bill of Rights also tells us that there are rights that we have that are not enumerated in there. But we're at a point where we go, well, if it's not in the law, then it's not legal. Instead of saying, well, if there's no law against it, then it's fine to do. Look at what's going on in the colleges. Look at the fighting that's going on in the streets. Oh yeah, people are far less religious today than they were, 20, 30 years ago. Well, far less Christian. A lot more Islamic extremism. There's a lot more Christian dead. Ain't it grand? But we have all this nice technology, even though our very identities are being destroyed. All of Western civilization. But you know what? You can totally psychologically damage your son by raising him a girl against his will. I'm not talking about Blair White or somebody like that who as an adult changed, but parents actively. So yeah, I mean, I see New Atheism as a poison. I see Islam as poison. And I see the SJWs and the left as poison. And the alt-right is scary as hell, and it's going to get a lot worse. You guys have not seen the alt-right. Or what the hell is coming down the line that's much worse, much more militant. And I don't have the purity of race, so I'll be a target because I'm a traitor for having mixed blood in me.